It is Tuesday night, and that means another episode of Goal Horns and Fight Songs. Uh,
The only NCHC podcast hosted by a five-time NCHC fan of the week that we know of. So I'm going to continue saying it like that until it changes. Go ahead.
I hate you sometimes.
It's okay. I hate me too, but
But kind of a weekend that three of the series didn't quite go as we expected. The only one that we expected was the Miami series. Uh, that went as expected, but the other ones not quite as much. It was a little bit of an interesting weekend.
there was definitely some excitement here. A champion was crowned. Unfortunately, that champion was North Dakota, who pick up their sixth overall Penrose championship, uh, fifth as the lone champion of the Penrose, at least for the time being. I think there might still be an outside chance for a tie, possibly. But I know they at least have secured. Or nope, there is not, because Denver could only get to 48 points. So the fifth outright win of the Penrose, sixth overall. I believe it was 2 years ago. They shared it with Denver. Three teams have won the Penrose, that being Denver, St. Cloud, and North Dakota. So some other teams have got some work to do to try and knock those three teams off.
And as much as I hate to say it, because as a UMD fan, we have a lot more issues with North Dakota than you guys do. What a turnaround from last year to this year that North Dakota's had. Um, and bringing in all those transfer students that they did with the whole brand new defensive core and bringing in person in net. Uh, I don't know how to feel about it, but what a turnaround.
Yeah, I mean, last year we were looking at Barry as potentially being on a hot seat this year, depending on what he was going to do. But I would say that he has tempered the flames for the time being. There was, he was probably talks for Coach of the Year there for a little while. I still think Mayotte at Colorado College is probably the front runner for the award, considering what he's done building that program the last few years and getting them to build on that year after year. But
Yeah, I think
definitely done some great work there in Denver or North Dakota, and got the guys to buy in, got the experience going, and showed that North Dakota is kind of the big dog that we thought they could be and have been in the years past.
I don't know if I'm fully bought in. I do think Mayotte in Colorado College should be the coach of the year for the conference. I just think Brad Berry took the garden hose to the flames because he was in trouble last year. He caught a really good team this year. What's it going to look like going down the road with that much reliance on the transfer portal?
I guess the thing will
Uh,
be to see will be, will this team will next year be what last year was? Because 2 years ago was another big transfer class that proved to be moderately successful for North Dakota, but there was a huge fall off last year because of the number of guys who left the program. He, retooled through the transfer portal again this year. Are we going to see another huge drop off of guys, and next year's team isn't built for success the way last year's team was? Are we going to see this roller coaster out of North Dakota, or can he put together some consistent years and put North Dakota back to what it was kind of under Hextall and in years past, where they're just a perennial powerhouse? or will it the roller coaster be the North Dakota way going forward until somebody else takes over and installs their culture there?
And I think that plays right into what you said and what I said with Mayotte building that program. He built it. These are his guys that he brought in. Where North Dakota, they're just bringing in guys left and right. Oh, you're leaving? Okay, that's fine. We're going to replace you. They're kind of acting like the Kentucky of college hockey, where, oh, we're just going to do one and dones. And yep, you play here for a year and then you're going to go there. Like it's the North Dakota name. So I think that'll be interesting. But um, congratulations to them. They get another Penrose. It's people can come after me saying I'm bitter and whatever. And it's like, yeah, I am because it's annoying. And if you want to come after me because I'm bitter, they want another one. Well, you're part of the problem as to why I'm bitter. Uh, but good for them. It just sucks for you that it came at the expense of your Broncos.
I am so freaking sick and tired of seeing teams hoist the Penrose Cup after beating the Broncos in Week 11 of NCHC play. It's not even funny. The only benefit this year is it wasn't at Lawson. Last year, Denver came in. There was some controversy in those games. Everybody knows what I'm talking about. If you don't, the most ridiculous 5-minute major I have ever seen called in my life. Part of it may be because the review wasn't working, but an absolute
No, it was.
an
It was.
absolute joke of a call. Um, that should have never been called. It should have never stood. But that's in the past. It is what it is. But Denver gets the trophy at Lawson last year. North Dakota takes it home at the Ralph this year. Either way, the boys are in the locker room while someone else gets to celebrate with the trophy. I think this is like the third or fourth time this has happened. It would be really cool to not see one of those three teams hoist it, and to not hoist it after beating my team would be very much fun in the future.
Well, and like you said, good for the guys in Grand Forks that play for the Fighting Hawks. They get to hoist it at home. I think it means just a little bit more when you're able to hoist a trophy at home versus on the road. Um,
I guess it depends on who you are as a person. I think there's something to be said about being the heel and getting to kind of rub it in the face of your opponent that you beat their team on home ice and here's the big trophy that you're not allowed to touch.
there is that, but with it being the Penrose and it being a regular season trophy, uh,
Hey,
I think there's a difference as well.
more teams that have
In
won
that.
the Penrose have gone on to win the national title in the same season than teams who have won the Frozen Face-Off and gone on to win the national title in the same season. Just saying. Just saying. I won't be surprised if North Dakota makes a deep run based on history. In fact, I believe the only team that has won the conference tournament and the NCAA tournament in the same season would be your Minnesota Duluth Bulldogs.
I was gonna say, like, but it's gotta only be like a 1 to 2 year differential, like
I think
or time differential. I don't know exactly how to say it.
I think Denver, North Dakota, both won the Penrose and a national title in the same year.
I think it's got to be like 3 and 2
I think it's
because
I think it's
UMD did it twice and we've never won the Penrose.
yeah, but you didn't win the tournament both times you won the national title.
Oh, that is true because we did lose to St. Cloud, so
Yeah, you lost.
then it would be like 3 and 1.
I can figure this out real quick. Let me just go look at all the things that I've looked at in the past that I can't mentally see in my eyeballs.
Yeah, because that's right. Because I was at when UMD won, and I was
Okay.
at when they lost. But both years they won it when they won it back to back. So I
2016,
think it's
North Dakota won the regular season. St. Cloud State won the tournament, the Frozen Face-Off. North Dakota won the NCAA.
okay.
2017, Denver won the regular season. Duluth won the NCHC tournament. Denver won the championship. 2019, Duluth won the NCAA tournament and the NCHC tournament. Denver in
So
2022 shared the Penrose with North Dakota, won the NCAA tournament.
and then 2018 St. Cloud.
Won the 2019 St. Cloud won the regular season. Duluth won the NCHC and the national
So you
tournament. The year before, St. Cloud won the Penrose. Denver won the NCHC tournament. Duluth won the NCAA tournament.
so then it
You've done it once. NCHC tournament and NCAA tournament.
yeah, and then Penrose, Denver's done it
Twice. And North
twice.
Dakota did it once.
Did it once, yeah. So 3-1 then.
Yeah.
I knew it was within one or two. I just didn't quite know exactly where it was. Um, but anyway, so that's going to be interesting. Well, that is interesting. Good for the kids. Uh, but they still have more work to do. It just pretty much doesn't guarantee them a spot, but it pretty much guarantees them a spot within the NCAA tournament.
I think they're still fighting
Other
for a 1 seed potentially.
Yeah, in the NCAA tournament.
Yeah, in the big tournament. They've locked in. The only two spots that are currently locked in, the matchup we know for sure will be taking place in the NCHC tournament, is North Dakota will play host to Miami. Those two spots are locked in. Everything else is still up for grabs. Home ice, the only team that still has a shot at home ice that's not currently sitting there is Omaha. They still have the ability to potentially steal a home ice spot depending on the outcomes of the weekend. Unfortunately, they play host to North Dakota, who has been the bane of their existence for pretty much most of the NCHC time. So we'll see what happens there. But Omaha's the only one outside looking in that still has a potential to steal a home ice spot. But they would need to sweep the weekend and hope for Colorado College to be swept by Western.
By Denver.
Denver, yeah.
Yeah, which is a very real possibility. Yeah, unfortunately, the best you guys can do is
Fifth.
end up playing. Yeah, you could end up fifth and going to play potentially Colorado College or Omaha, depending on what happens with those. But still, some movement that could potentially happen. Oh boy. I guess I don't know what else you have to talk about, but we might as well get into these.
Really just, I mean, we can go through the scores and players of the week. We'll run through those real quick.
Yeah.
Omaha did something. They played some games. Why does my thing look weird? Okay. Omaha swept Miami 4-3 on Friday, 2-1 on Saturday. I mean, things got a little bit close in that Friday game. North Dakota swept Western 5-3 Friday, 3-0 on Saturday. Back-to-back Saturday 3-0 losses for the Broncos. Not great. Denver swept St. Cloud. Beat the tar out of St. Cloud, and St. Cloud 13-4 goals on the weekend. Denver winning 6-2 and 7-2 respectively. Colorado College splits the weekend in overtime loss for the Tigers to the Bulldogs on Friday.
It was actually a shootout
loss or shootout win for UMD, shootout loss for the Tigers. So a tie.
Yep.
in the old NCHC standings and college hockey standings. But for us, in counting games, it is a win for the Bulldogs. And then a 4-1 win for the Tigers on Saturday. Players of the week for the NCHC. It was a couple of Fighting Hawks and a couple of Pioneers for the penultimate players of the week. Forward Owen McLaughlin from North Dakota. Defenseman Zev Byam from Denver. Rookie Sam Harris from Denver. And goaltender Ludwig Persson, stopping 69 shots on the weekend,
Heh,
sweeping the
nice.
Broncos. Potentially, I believe, for the first time as a goaltender, he picks up a couple wins over the Broncos. Most in a season for him over Western in his 4 years in the NCHC. So congratulations to him.
It helps when you have better players in front of you.
No, you're not wrong. Those are your NCHC players of the week. Let's talk about next week because I'm done dealing with last week, and that's just how I'm going to be about it.
You were done, I think, like Friday night.
I made it through up until the second goal Saturday, and then I was done.
I was trying to remember when you messaged me. But yeah, this week, the last time we're actually going to get to see this format for the matchups.
Yeah, next year we get the new playoff format. This is the last year of the what we've been used to for the last 11 years of NCHC hockey. Well, I mean, everything changes next year. Even the regular season, the playoffs. Every conference weekend next year, somebody's sitting. So I don't think we'll see the bye weeks like we did this year with half the conference playing and half the conference not playing. I don't know that that'll still be a thing next year, just because essentially they're going to rotate buys every week, unless they're. So it'll be interesting to see what that does. But we'll talk more about that when schedules come out in the offseason. I really just want to get into the last weekend of regular season here. It is rivalry weekend. It's really only been the last, what did I see, 5 years? This might be the 6th year where we've seen the rivalry weekend play out on the final weekend of the season. Before that, it was just kind of whoever the matchups were the matchups. There was no real rhyme or reason to it. But the last few years, it has been your locked-in rival, has been your final weekend. That means it'll be Miami versus Western, this time in Kalamazoo. St. Cloud will be at Minnesota Duluth. North Dakota will be at Omaha, and Denver will play a home and home with Colorado College. Colorado College hosting Friday, Denver hosting Saturday.
And that one, that's just kind of what they've done over the past, because the first series that they played during the year, it's also a home and home.
Yeah, and I mean, those two schools
They're
are
what?
within spitting distance of each other. They're like an hour drive, depending on traffic.
Yeah, I think they're only like technically 20 miles apart or something like that. Maybe it's more, and I'm just being my typical self and
It's
making
really not.
stuff
I mean, it's
up.
not very far, but I think when we were in Colorado Springs, it was about an hour to drive up to Denver. But again, it depends on traffic and flow.
Yeah.
I think last year they had to delay the start because I think they got a snowstorm. There was an accident or something, and it took a little bit longer than expected for the teams to get into Denver. Uh,
Yeah, well, that happens when you're that high up in elevation.
so that was a thing that happened last year. But what was it? Where are we? What are we looking at here? Here we go.
Going through the games.
So there's still a potential that we could see some repeat series next week. Minnesota Duluth and St. Cloud could face off in back-to-back series for the third time in a row here. if St. Cloud can get around Denver. I think that's really the only potential there, though. Everybody else, like I said, North Dakota's got Miami locked in. Um,
Who did Omaha
Omaha
play
plays North
last year?
Dakota, and
Who
right
did they
now
play last year though?
in the playoffs, North Dakota. They
Oh,
played North Dakota 5 straight games
okay.
to end the year or to end the regular season in the first round of the playoffs last year.
So for the love of God, can we not play St. Cloud again? Even though I probably will actually go up to at least one game.
Well, I mean, it's either St. Cloud or Denver, potentially Colorado College.
Yeah, potentially Colorado College.
They could get to 44 points, but Colorado College has to sweep Denver to get all the way up there, and St. Cloud has to lose at least one to Minnesota Duluth. If they lose one in reg and one in uh, overtime, wait, if they lose
win one in reg and lose one in overtime,
six, no, they just have to lose one. If St. Cloud loses one,
just in general.
Colorado sweeps, Colorado College would jump them and Denver because Colorado College can get to 44 points, which would put them 2 ahead of Denver, and they would be 1 ahead of St. Cloud if St. Cloud splits the weekend with Duluth. That's right. Math brain. It's working. Ow, that hurt so bad.
Well, I ain't going to Colorado, and it's a lot cheaper for me to drive the hour and a half to St. Cloud. Uh, but I'm just so sick and tired of them.
I mean, but that whoever's won that series has won the NCHC tournament the last 2 years.
Yeah, but only one of us who's won that series and won the NCHC tournament has won the national championship.
All the more reason to maybe want St. Cloud again and hope that you can run the table. Remember, after next weekend, it only takes 8 wins to win a national title.
We can't even get, we can barely get one.
I'm just saying, even mathematically or by astronomical odds, Miami still has a chance to win a national title this year in college hockey.
Well,
Let
who
that
was it
sit for a
last?
second.
Who was it last year? Um, it was like an Atlantic hockey team or an ECAC team that they were a 7 seed or something, and they won the conference tournament and screwed everything up.
Oh, yeah. They were like 49th or something in the pairwise and made the tournament.
And they won the tournament. I can't remember who it was exactly, but it was some team out east. Well, I mean,
Yeah.
other than the
I'm just saying,
NCHC, pretty
Miami
much everyone's out east.
Miami could lose the next 3 straight games that they play and win a national title ripping off 8 straight wins. Will they? Hell no. Is there a possibility in which that could happen? Very minuscule. But the possibility exists.
You know what? I'm gonna look this up just because I'm curious.
So that's maybe the one unfortunate thing about the way the college hockey playoffs work. But I guess basketball could be the same way, really. But
Yeah.
I think, well, there's some conferences where not all the teams make the playoffs. The fact that the NCHC and the CCHA, all the teams who make the playoffs, allow it to be a realistic, well, an unlikely possibility. Let's stop using the word realistic possibility because it's not all that realistic, but an unlikely possibility that it could happen. I think Michigan State may hold the distinction for the worst record of a national champion in college hockey, but that was decades ago.
Okay, so I just looked it up, and currently on DraftKings, just because I was curious, uh, your favorite right now to win says without NJ, which I have no idea what that means. Um, but Boston College is the favorite at plus 500. Uh, you have BU, North Dakota, Wisconsin, Minnesota, Denver, Michigan State, Quinnipiac, Michigan, Maine. Westerns at plus 2,200. St. Cloud State's at plus 2,500. Bulldogs are at plus 6,000, along with Omaha. CC's plus 4,000. And then you scroll down a little bit and you scroll down a little bit further
Keep going. Keep it going.
and a little bit further.
Down to page 5.
And at plus 30,000, and I'm just going to list these teams off because they're all tied. Yale, Vermont, St. Lawrence, Sacred Heart, Niagara, Lake Superior State, Ferris State, Dartmouth, Brown, Canisius, RPI, Holy Cross, and Miami. So, I mean, you could throw a buck on them and win a decent amount of money if you're okay parting with a buck.
Yeah.
But
Fun,
yeah,
fun fact for you. Miami is still in the running for a national title. Also, American Dad has ruined anything Dartmouth for me forever. So
well,
if you get that reference, then you know what I'm talking about. If not, go watch American Dad and figure out where the Dartmouth reference comes in. I think it's the spring break episode where Roger hosts spring break in the Smiths' backyard. And Dartmouth will be ruined for you as well. So enjoy that. You're welcome. I think we want to get into on these matchups. We want to break them down anymore. I will let you take the lead here. Other than to say, no, I don't want to say that out loud. Change my mind. I'm just gonna ride with that one. Ride that one till this weekend's over, and then maybe mention it next week.
You're probably gonna forget by next week.
Oh no. It is right there sitting in the old brain bucket written down.
But all right. Let's get into these matchups. And we're going to start with yours.
Yay.
Because you are the first game listed on Friday. Because you both are on Eastern time.
Interesting.
I guess I'll start since I had it written down pretty much as a Western sweep. I think you guys are gonna try and at least get the fifth seed potentially, depending on what happens. The guys are gonna play hard. They're also probably pretty upset with the performance from the weekend. And Miami has one conference win on the year.
I don't know that we need to talk about that anymore.
I think we should.
I think
But
we need to. Everybody knows who it was. Everybody knows.
hey, you did it to me last year, but they have won. And I think we know who remembers that, and they aren't going to allow that to happen again.
Well, that would be the hope, right?
So, plus it is in front of the Lunatics, and it's their last chance to show out this year, because there's no home ice advantage for the Broncos in the first round of the NCHC tournament. So I think that place is going to be rocking real hard, and they are not going to let up. And I think the boys are going to feed off of that, and it's going to be a Western sweep.
It will be interesting to see what the crowd looks like Friday. This is spring break week for the Broncos. People may be back Friday. I would surmise the Saturday crowd will be bigger. Uh, yeah, I would hope that Western comes into this game with a little bit of intensity. The offense fell off a little bit last weekend, last couple weeks, really. I think 6 goals in 4 games. They need to, no, 7 goals in 4 games because it was a 4-3 overtime win Friday in St. Cloud. They need to kind of find that going here, getting ready for the playoff push. They need to avenge that loss to Miami early in the season at Miami. It's senior weekend. The boys need to go out, play hard, send the seniors off on a positive note. And really just get ready for make a statement going into the playoffs. Like there's still something worth playing for. The seeding's still on the line. Really, they're still fighting for an at-large bid in the NCAA tournament. They're big wins if they can get them this weekend to help them. They kind of need a decent push here in the playoffs too to really solidify an opportunity to make it 3 NCAA tournaments in a row for the Broncos. It really feels like a sliding slope that they have been on for at least the second half of the year, that chance kind of dwindling. So a statement series here would be nice going into the playoffs. I do have it as a Western sweep because I'm not going to call it any other way. I hate Miami so much. I hate picking them to win anything. But I just don't know where the team is. They've got to figure it out and play team hockey and play smart. If your defense are going to be below the opposing goaltender, then there's got to be a forward who drops back to cover the blue line, and we can't let guys behind the defenseman like we saw all weekend with North Dakota players. We can't leave Cam out to dry like that. I think maybe all but one or two of the goals were scored because North Dakota players were behind our defensemen in some fashion or another. Can't have it. You're not going to win games that way, clearly, because Western's seeing it over and over again. Play your game. When Western's playing their game, they're very hard to beat. They can put up points in bunches. This is a team that they need to take advantage of for all intents and purposes. Like they've got to come out and they've got to get things going. The power play has got to figure itself out. We saw a little bit of a mix up or a little bit of a mix of things happening in the North Dakota series. It wasn't just the stagnant look for the one-time rip from the dot. There were some other puck movement that created some opportunities, but again, finishing in the offensive zone is a must going forward for this Western team if they have any shot at making noise, whether it's this weekend in the NCHC tournament or hopefully in the NCAA tournament. But it starts with Friday night's game and coming out, dictating the pace of the game, of the play, forechecking, back checking. Again, just being responsible for what's happening on the ice. If your defensemen are low, the forwards have to take up the responsibility and play back near the blue line in the offensive zone. If the defensemen are getting beat, you got to hustle back and be ready to make plays. So, and stay out of the box. Those are the keys to a good Western team, is doing those things. As far as Miami goes, they've been playing tough hockey recently. Like there's no quit in that team. They're just not getting the results that maybe they think they deserve, or they're not catching a lot of breaks, but it has been a struggle for them all year. I don't see that changing this weekend.
No.
It should be, honestly, it should be 4 straight losses. Well, I guess it would be potentially 6 straight losses to finish out the year. Whether or not it's an overtime losses, but it's looking like it's going to be 6 regulation losses to finish out at least the regular season. And then I don't have high hopes for them against North Dakota in the playoffs. But we've seen stranger things in the playoffs. So,
Yeah, stranger things do happen. And that's the thing too with Miami is the kids aren't gonna quit. They're playing and they're well, none of these teams, just in general, they're playing for their futures. They're trying to put stuff on tape in general.
Miami might be playing for their coach's future too. This has to be a big weekend for them looking at their head coach. Like,
Oh boy, he even if they did win, I still think he's got to go.
I don't know, maybe
But
give him one more year if something looks beneficial, but just there's not a lot of benefit
it,
for that program. I don't know what's happening down there.
there's he's had ample opportunity. But the kids are going to try. I just think there's some disparity in, or there's not some, there is a disparity in the programs there and what's been built. Um, Moving on to the next one that they have listed on Friday, and it's UMD and St. Cloud up in Duluth. I'm surprised that we got a shootout win against Colorado College. I I've said it most of the year. I just don't have faith in this team. I was a little shocked that St. Cloud got swept last weekend. Uh, just based off of what I saw with them playing Western, because Western, you're a good team, you just haven't had the results. Uh, Denver is also a good team, but they're not as good as we've seen. And for them to get swept by the score that they got swept by was really surprising. Uh, I don't know if it's spring break for UMD or not, or when that's coming. Usually it tends to hit, at least for St. Cloud and probably UMD, right around the first round of the tournament. I think St. Cloud comes in very, very angry. UMD does not have the depth right now to keep up with what St. Cloud has. St. Cloud also has the goaltending depth and the better goaltending. We like to march to the box. We don't have a great penalty kill, but we have one of the best power plays in the nation. I think I saw we were fifth ranked at one when they threw it up on the stats last weekend. But I have UMD getting swept. I have St. Cloud taking the sweep and getting both points, or both games, and getting all 6 points.
Oh, so you're seeing it run back for next week.
Yep, I am. And I'm seeing UMD getting swept again next week.
Let's see. St. Cloud swept the series in St. Cloud 2-1, 6-5. So a couple of close games, a different story. Honestly, those are different teams back then. Minnesota did not have all of the Duluth did not have all the issues that they have had.
With
St. Cloud State,
injuries,
yeah, injuries, ineligibility,
academics.
um, what have you, players just not performing up to kind of expectations or whatever the case may be there. But different story this go around. Again, it's a rivalry, so I think Duluth gets up for it a little bit more. I St. Cloud State, they're doing weird things. The goalie change, yeah, it worked against Western. I don't think it worked too well against Denver. I don't know. I know they started Posh, I believe, Saturday night. I don't know if they started him Friday. I don't know if they gave him 5 straight games or what. I'll look real quick here.
Yeah, that's what I was doing.
I think if you did, I think you have to start going back to Bassey though. He's proven to be there. He's played well against most of the teams. Posh started No, Bassie started Friday. Posh came in relief. Wait, no, other way around. Posh started, gave up 3 goals on 4 shots.
Well, that's a solid start.
Wait, no, he gave up 3 goals on 7 shots. That's what it
Still,
is.
my statement stands.
Yeah, Bassie came in, gave up 2 on 19 shots. Bassie came in relief, played well. Did they start him Saturday though?
Nope, Posh played all 60 minutes on Saturday.
So yeah, I mean, I don't. I think you go back to Bassie. I think he's been. I mean, yeah, I get it. You're trying to get some experience for Posh. He was a rookie goaltender. I feel like that kind of cost them a shot at the Penrose. If we're being 100% honest, switching it up the way they did.
Well, and I don't know why you do that in general if you know you have a true number one, because you look at the run that UMD was on and their goalies. You had Hunter Miska. He was the number one. Koskisuo, he was the number one. Shepard, he was the number one. Banty, he was the number one. Um, Stay played a little bit under Fanti, but part of that was that 5 overtime game that he just had to come in. They had their number one, and you play them the whole time. They rarely ever sat out a game, and if they did, it was for the exhibition games.
Yeah.
To especially late in the season, why are you messing with that?
Right. And I mean, they had the system last year where they were playing both goalies, but they did that consistently all year, and it worked out for them.
Yep.
This year, I really think that Bassie proved himself to be the number one and the guy that you were going to go with in most situations, and it just fell apart at the end of the year messing around with stuff. You still want home ice. You want to be in probably potentially the highest seed you can get. I don't know what you're doing here. It was a confusing thing when I saw it, against Western. Again, it worked out for the majority. They took 4 out of the 6 points that weekend, but I just it was a weird thing for them to do. I'm actually gonna give St. Cloud the win Friday. They need a response game from what happened with Denver, but they're such close games. I think Duluth kind of squeaks one out on Saturday, even if it ends up going to overtime. We've seen that, even as depleted as they are, they're a team that can still put up points. They rallied back against a tough Denver team a few weeks ago to get to overtime, ended up losing in overtime, but came back on two-goal deficits in that game. The next night they were down, I think, 3 or 4 goals and still made a valiant effort back in the Denver series. They, they just got a pissed off North Dakota team 2 weeks ago. Last week they played pretty well against Colorado College. We constantly say Mbereko is one of the better goaltenders in the country. To get to a shootout there and win, it's not like they're playing terrible hockey. They don't have the depth to go week in and week out, but the talent is there, and if it performs, it performs. So I'm giving them an outside chance to steal at least a couple points here, and maybe play spoiler to St. Cloud State and not having to see them 2 weeks in a row. So I'll give them, even if it ends up being an overtime win, I think they can win Saturday.
And I think it goes back to, we always say UMD is a tough team, but I think in all fairness, about 95% of the NCAA hockey teams are tough teams to play against because all these guys are trying to make it. So there's no quit in these teams. I just feel opposite with how St. Cloud's going to come out after what happened last weekend. I'm just trying to look. We also cannot stay out of the box. And I'm trying to look to see where we rank as far as penalty minutes go. But you can move on to the next one.
Next is North Dakota and Omaha. I'm trying to see what they did in their first series. I know weren't these both overtime wins for Omaha in the first series? It was on that stretch where North Dakota just could not win a game in regulation, couldn't close one out, ended up losing in overtime like 4 in a row or something stupid. I believe it was.
Yep. I have my
Scrolly.
stat. I have my stat while you're looking that up.
I'll go for it while I'm.
We rank 6, 7,
There.
8 in the most opponent power play opportunities with 136.
There you go.
The next closest, Arizona State has 134, but they're not in the conference yet. The next closest conference team is Colorado College with 117. So, yeah, that might be a monkey wrench. Might be a problem. I'm just kind of curious how many penalty minutes we have.
Well, what is his character's stupid name? I'm not going to remember the character's name, but that's okay. As Jim Carrey once said in Liar Liar, quit breaking the law, asshole. For Minnesota Duluth, that might just be quit breaking the rules, dickheads. And as Brett is pointing out, it was an overtime win for Omaha in the first game and a 3-1 regulation win for North Dakota, and that was to start the second half of the season. So in January. But yeah, I believe it was that first game was on that run where North Dakota was not finishing games. They'd lost like 3 or 4 straight in overtime. That's the type of game that Omaha has been playing all year. Keep teams close, beat them in overtime. Omaha's got to find a way to start finishing out some games. North Dakota's on a roll here. I think they'll be close again. I think even last year, these were close games. They're just two teams that keep it close no matter what. North Dakota's coming off that high of winning the Penrose. It might be there's reports or there's at least thoughts that North Dakota might sit some guys or, maybe run their 3-4 lines a little bit more than their 1-2 lines, or mix up the line combinations a little bit to rest some guys here. Just because, they have that 1 seed locked up. They know who they're playing next week. They're pretty much nailed into an at-large bid. My thought with that is don't mess with what's working. Get the guys, be consistent going into the playoffs. The end goal is not here yet. But there could be some of that trophy hangover. And if there is, it's going to come up. I think it's going to show up Friday. And I'm going to give Omaha the Friday win. But UND is going to snap right back, and they're going to win Saturday. So I have it as a split.
That's what I had it as too. Omaha winning Friday, North Dakota winning Saturday. I still think it's going to be a close series, and like you were saying, North Dakota may rest some guys, but I don't see why you do that, especially going into the tournament. Because Miami, they could surprise you in a game, and then all of a sudden the guys have to get back up and start to play. But if Miami nabs you in the first game and they don't show up for the second game, but Miami does, well, then all of a sudden, okay, cool, you won the Penrose. Now you're not in St. Paul. And I think Omaha, they're wanting to get the best seed possible so Brent can actually get to St. Paul for the first time in his life to watch his own team play.
Only got a couple more
Uh,
chances left this year and next year.
and I did look up the number of penalty minutes. Lindenwood, let's see. Oh, well, hang on. Nope, Arizona State leads
That
in
sounds
number of penalty minutes.
that sounds about right. I mean, I think they had a game where there was like 200 awarded, so
I mean, they took their helmets off in the penalty box.
and left the penalty boxes early to
Yep.
full fight at center ice. I'm just saying, that game has a lot to do with skewing the record towards Arizona State. I believe if you throw out those penalty minutes, it might be a little bit closer between them and second place, is all I'm saying.
Well, second place isn't too far behind because Holy Cross and Long Island both have 525,
And how many does Arizona State have?
549.
Yeah, see, so they would actually be in like
They
third.
they beat yeah. Lindenwood is up there. They have 503, but UMD again, we are the first NCHC team. We're at 5, 6, 7, 11, 12, 13, 14, 16, 17, 18, 19th in the nation at 407. And Denver is probably roughly, I'm not going to count, about 10 below us with 365.
Yeah,
But they can score shorthanded.
little naughties. I guess if you're gonna take that many penalties, you better be able to score shorthanded. Um, but yeah, that was my point on that sentence.
All right, so we have UNO as a split, and then Colorado College and Denver.
This one, dude, this one is it's something, man. Much
I
like,
can see it going
I mean, this series has gone
multiple ways.
the way that Colorado College versus Western has gone. Denver had not lost to Colorado College in the regular season. Who did I say? I said Western, right? Yeah. Western had not
Mm-hmm.
lost to Colorado College in the regular season in like 3 years. They go to Colorado College at the beginning of the year, sweep them once again after losing in the playoffs last year to Colorado College. Denver has not lost in the regular season to Colorado College in I'm roughly 2 or 3 years. Their first loss to Colorado College came in the playoffs last year. Denver sweeps the first series earlier this season. Colorado College, they won by a combined score of 11-2. We know that Denver can put up points quickly. We know that Denver will take penalties. Colorado College is much improved even since the beginning of the year. They came
Mm-hmm.
in to Kalamazoo and swept Western with a couple of overtime wins. They went into North Dakota and swept the Fighting Hawks with a couple of overtime wins. They showed up well, I believe, when North Dakota came back to Colorado College. Double check that though. So I mean, they're winning games against the top teams. It's not the
Mm-hmm.
same Colorado College team that we're used to. This isn't going to be a cakewalk. Oh yeah, they smacked North Dakota when North Dakota came to town. 13-3 combined score. Like, this is not going to be a cakewalk Denver sweep, I don't think. But I don't know what the score is going to be because we just saw Denver rattle off 2 huge wins over St. Cloud State. I think
Yeah.
Colorado College is the better defensive team, and Berko's the better goalie of the goalie matchup. The rivalry plays into it. Who can get up for this a little bit more than the other? Uh, it's a home and home. There, I think there could be a potential, depending on how everything shakes out between no, these two teams can't play each other in the first round of the playoffs. But like,
No.
this is probably, this might be the matchup of the weekend, legitimately.
Oh yeah,
You know,
I 100% agree with that.
it's the two. It's a top four NCHC matchup. I think it's a top 10 NCAA matchup. It's not necessarily for. I mean, it's still for seeding because Colorado College could jump Denver if they sweep this series. Uh, there's it would be a huge boost to Colorado College to get into the national tournament scene. For me, the series does more for Colorado College than it does for Denver. Really, I think like I could see Colorado College sweeping it. I just don't think that's going to happen. I think it's going to be. I'm going to take the home teams. That's what I'm going to do. So it'll be Colorado
That's what I
College.
did too.
It'll be Colorado College Friday, Denver Saturday. But like
I
I
just
would
think they're
not
going
be
to be.
surprised. I would not be surprised if Colorado College comes out and steals, even if it's an overtime, like two overtimes win sweep type thing. Colorado College can come out of this series with more points than Denver.
Yeah, the USCHO. I mean, it's 4 versus 10, and I, that's kind of once we started talking about this. What I said is, I can I could see this going any possible way that you can think of this series going, and you hit on things perfectly with the Colorado College team that we saw at the start of the year is a completely different team now. They're much improved. They're pretty much on a heater. They had a little misstep against my Bulldogs, which surprised me. Um, their their defensive, I think the one key that they're going to have to take care of is if Denver gets one, plug that hole. If there's a leak in the dam, you better get that thing plugged right away because they proved it earlier this year where Denver, they can just, against all the best teams, as soon as that leak spreads, the cracks start going and then the floodgates open. Uh, but I think Colorado College has figured that out over the course of the year. I think they win at home and then Denver comes back with their fans and they win at home and they split. As far as predicting a potential score, it can be a 1 goal game, it can be overtime, it could be blowouts on either side because I think Colorado College's offense has now proven that they can score compared to what they were last year with just McCown scoring pretty much
Yeah,
every goal.
yeah. Noah
Kind of
Lava has
like
stepped
UMD
up
with
and
Ben
played
Steves.
extremely well this year. But yeah, it's weird to say, but CC Denver is my pick for a series of the weekend. If you're a Tigers student or a Tigers fan, like you need to show up to your barn and be loud and on top of that game because you're not going to get many with the emotion what's on the table other than a trophy. They played for their Pikes Peak Gold Pan or whatever the hell they call that thing earlier
Yeah,
in
the
the
goal.
year, but there's about as much on the line outside of a trophy as there can be in this series, and both teams have been playing incredible, and for them to match up that way in the final weekend with as much shift as could happen in the seeding is like it's what you want in college hockey. The only thing that would make this weekend better is if the Penrose were still up for grabs and literally everybody was playing for something.
Hmm. If it was everybody had, 25 points or what, I don't know. I'm not going to do the math right now, but just everybody's within a couple points of each other, which means everybody pretty much just split
Yeah.
the whole season. So it's going to be really fun to watch, especially that series. I'll watch just because I'm interested to see what St. Cloud does for UMD, but it, that's kind of my only interest in that series. Um, I just want to watch the teams that have a chance to move around a little bit. So that, I mean, it makes it all four games or all four series in a sense. It's just I might have different rooting interests in the games than I would have depending on where my team was or who was sitting where.
Well, I will be at the Western Series because where else would I be? I'll see how much of the other ones I catch or follow along with, but my eyes will be glued to the ice at Lawson Ice Arena this weekend, as they are for every
No,
Western Michigan home series. So, and a few of the away ones sometimes. You never know. I might just
and
show up in your barn and cheer for my team.
and very well that I will be keeping you updated on the scores because I don't think I'm doing anything this weekend. If I am, I forgot about it. So I will be watching all the series, and even though I know you know how to use your phone, I will be still texting you about things or, well, Facebook messaging you about things that are going on in different series.
But I think that about does it. I mean, I guess a small look forward is this off season is going to be fun. I think there's actually going to be more to talk about than there usually is on the off season. We just kind of make shit up and BS, and um, it's when we really try hard to get guests on the show. I'm still going to try and do that, but I think there's some topics worth delving into this off season that are going to be interesting and fun. We'll get to look at the schedules, how those are going to shift and change with the addition of Arizona State. We get to look at Arizona State coming in to the conference. Some of those things. I guess if there is a fan of a team that has an opinion on your team, whether that be Miami, we're kind of locked in with Brent at Omaha. He seems to be our Omaha correspondent and has done a great job the two times he's been on the show. Uh,
He's our expert. Like you're the Western expert, and I'm the UMD expert.
yeah, but if there's someone out there from St. Cloud, from Denver, from Colorado, um, North Dakota, begrudgingly, Arizona State to let us, fill us in on them. Um, and you want to see if maybe this is a fit, something you would be interested in partaking in every once in a while, please feel free to message the show either on Twitter, which is scrolling at the bottom of the screen right now, on the email, which will be going by momentarily here. Right now is the beginning of it. Um, we're always trying to improve the show. I think we've made some steps this year. We'll be looking to do that again in the future. Um, I think that about does it. I can't think of anything else. So good luck to all the teams. It's going to be a fun, exciting weekend of hockey. Pucks on net. Good things happen like goal horns and fight songs. Until the next episode, we are out of here. Deuces. That's the wrong button.